1% gap up takes us right back into the middle of the range. And that's going to make things like super tricky, right? So what we've got to really be doing, like when we see this, and we're going to have to be picture perfect, because you had a lot of destruction, yesterday, and really we've been kind of fading off for 2 days. The market needed a pullback. We had been up fucking, right, like 13 out of 14 days or whatever it is. So I do think like this last couple of days was needed. Now we got the inflation readings yesterday, and that kind of sparked a little bit of a sell-off. Now the tricky part is, okay, so we're gapping up inside yesterday's range, which is like, that's the trickiest spot like to be in, because you're essentially, right, your total penis in between us, like where you're right, where you're inside yesterday's range. So like how we want to play this, and we have pulled back to some levels of support, not big ones, but some level of support. Like what we're going to have to really do today is be mindful. Okay, there's two aspects of like how we got to play this. Number one, we did get a good size pullback so we can bounce in the market on a bigger picture, right? Which is like your overall daily chart. On a short-term basis, so the price action has been very nasty the last 2 days, right? And there's been a lot of stocks that have just been like totally cooked off. And hey, AM trading, what's going on? Back at it. Good. So you're right back in the middle. So short-term price action weak, long-term charts look still really good. So we got to kind of reconcile, right, that short-term action with what we're seeing on the long term. So if we come back here, and I don't believe we're going to have two kind of shakeouts probably today, with the gap up like this, we may, what usually happens after a big down day, they pull the rug at the open, right, to suck in some shorts. And then like, we'll have to see like how things act around here. If we hold the gap and we do an ORB, right, like we just hold the opening range and start to cook off, then that's going to probably take us right back into like, this trending environment. But we've got to be mindful. There was a lot of destruction yesterday. And if you're even looking at like, market breadth yesterday, very few, if you look at the market breadth yesterday, right, the number of breakouts were 114, number of breakdowns were 400. So a little bit of an uptick. Now for a big, like, minus 2% day or whatever it was, there wasn't that many breakdowns. So that's a good thing. 400 is a lot. It's the most we've had in probably a couple months. But like, if this was like at 700, 800, at that point, you would be like, oh, fuck, like, let's put our crash hats on. So we didn't definitely see that. So I think that's a good sign. Let's take a look at the earnings plays. There's a lot of earnings plays. And when you're looking at earnings plays, like you don't have to watch the market tick by tick when you're trading earnings plays. They're going to move irregardless to like what's happening in the overall general market structure. So you can see there's already a whole host of these that are looking pretty good. Fossil Group surges higher on Q3 results. It is taking out a big base. This is like the watch company, right? Fucking retail companies stuck to trade. They always have. This is not bad. It's like an $18 stock, but like, do you really want to chase up a retail stock, 30%? I'd add it to the list, but that's not a priority for me. A firm dizzle. A firm dizzle's been our baby. Now, firm is very strange stock because the way that it had been dumping off the last few days, to me, it seemed like the fucking earnings were going to be probably terrible, that somebody was like selling into this, right? Like this was really nasty. And it was like a very sneaky dump over the last couple of days. And so it just came back this morning. They just gapped it back up. This is going to be super tricky. This is our baby. We've made so much money off this. I was actually looking, like, I think it's like a third of my profits of like the last like 4 months have been like from like a firm. This thing was amazing. So we'll see how this goes. I think it's going to need the pull at the open, and then we'll see if it kind of can remobilize and make a push to those all-time highs. Hey, Jason, I just used the, like the $10 one that's on here. They have the $50 one on here, but I don't know if you really need it because I'm not like a huge news guy. I need to know if there was earnings. I want to know just like the basics, right? But like, I don't really need to know like, okay, it's done this, it's done this, it's done this, like every single push of it. Hey, this PPSI's got a nice pullback, and now you're starting to get a gap up. Frankly, this thing could start to shred today. I got to stay away from the small caps, because when the market's getting its de-shredded, the small caps are an easy way to it's an easy way to ruin your day, ruin your lunch, ruin your week, ruin your month, ruin your life. Like, you don't even need to be going into all that. There are times to be a degenerate, and there are times not to be. The times to be a degenerate when the market is hot, or when you're at a bachelor party. Those are like essentially the two times you can do it, right? Now that the market showed some cracks, like, we've got to be a little bit more protective. This looks great. There's no getting around it, but I got to stay away from it. It's just not my cup of tea. Now, this open, we got a gap up on open. This is a real estate company. This was a SPAC. SPACs have been heating up big time. The last month or so, like, the SPACs have been looking pretty good. I think we can add this, because like newer companies that have earnings and push on earnings, they always have good action. So add open to the list. MQ, Marquetta Software, where dreams are made. TJ, what are the other metaverse stocks you like? You know what? This could work. This is an IPO stock too. You're busting up on earnings. You got about 500,000 volume so far. I'm down with this. I don't know if it's like a top big priority. I would give this a B- setup. So it's not an A setup. I give it a solid B-, maybe even a B. It'd be better if it was like clear. When they clear out some levels, it's a little bit better. But the ATR on this is $3. For a $29 stock, that's pretty good. So I want to add that. SoFi's got earnings out. Now, this is a bank stock, so it's not going to like move in. It's not going to move in. It might not move crazy, but like, this is actually, we've had good luck trading this. This is what we call like a trender grinder. What I mean by that is, like, there's just some stocks, like, they start to build the trend and they'll just grind. You may not get like the wild explosions up and down, Dipsy Do Dunkaroo, but you do get like nice steady moves on this one, and it's still got good enough range. I would add that to the earnings list. I think this one too, because it's a bank stock, probably we want to hit this thing on the dip. So like, first pullback, 9 EMA, 20 EMA. I don't know if I'd want to ORB this one. I've never seen it have that kind of heat, but like, you are clearing out some levels here, and you can see the overall structure of this is looking pretty good. Like, this is a weekly chart, right? You kind of coming in for the third push into these highs, and it's a newer company. Stocks that have good earnings out, that are fresh, that are new companies, they tend to do better. I like the overall look of this too. Ride is such a turd, but Lordstown Motors, man, what a great name though. Lordstown Motors to sell Ohio factory to Foxconn for $230 million to collaborate on electric truck development. That's nice. I mean, I don't know what that is, but that just sounds nice. All right. So let's add in Ride. This is not a priority either. Why? It's got a history of pump, dump, pump, dump. Once a turd, always a turd. But this does move a little bit steadier. Like, this is not like your low flow random biotech company. Like, this will move a little bit steadier, but that's not really a priority either. Soap, you know what? I've been watching this one. It's got too much spread on it. CGen. Yes. CELH. Yo, you know what? A couple earnings seasons ago, this one had a gap and went on a really monster fucking run. Hold on here. It's got a history of like making this one right here. Does anybody remember this day? The old timers. This is like last year on earnings. I remember this day. It had a really nice push. It ended up pushing like $6-7 and then ended up trending. Man, this thing got up to $100, huh? That's nice. That's nice. Real nice. That's nice, real nice. I would actually add this. This is going to be a good sweet spot in price. And, the question is going to be on this is if there's any liquidity. If it fires off like 300, 400, 500,000 the first few minutes, then it should be okay. If it doesn't, then, we can't really we'll have to take it off the watch list. Root. Hey, you know what? This root is like probably another one. I don't want to be involved in any of these little turdzillas, but you've got a level there. If it starts to cook over, this thing's been really beaten up. The fact that these guys are in fucking insurance and they can't even make money is, I've never heard of a fucking insurance agent not being able to gouge you for some money. Like, how's that possible? I never understood these kind of things. It's like snow. They're only customers to government. Like, who loses money selling to the government? Never heard these kind of thing. Fuck this root, but it does look good. I'd set an alert if it gets over this 50 SMA and you like those little guys, go for it. Hey, so Rivian IPO was yesterday, and you ended up kind of tanking off at it. They overpriced the thing, obviously. So now you're kind of like gapping up into the middle of it. I think this one's going to have a lot of shakeouts on it, to be honest. If it opened up weak, I think we would have probably been able to bounce this thing. I mean, you're just gapping up penis in between a style, like right in the middle of the range. And that gets it. It's going to have a lot of range, but it's going to have some fucking shakeouts in it due to the location of where it's kind of gapped. We'll be watching it, but I don't think we have an easy trade on that. WB, gap into resistance. Bros. You know what? Bros got a bunch of upgrades today. You can see Stifle, Piper, Dutch Bros after reporting adjusted Q3. Yo, this is probably top of the list if it holds. New IPO, it's always got sick range. It's got a fucking sick name. You've got the Dutch oven aspect of it. And then you have Bros, which is, basically what we are, right? We're trading bros. We're bro traders in general. This is top of the list right there. What do you think? Hims, the boner pills, pairs, losses, revenue rises. This, why are there so many gappers today? I'd set an alert on this. If it clears, you start to clear this 9 spot, set it a little bit before that. I put the alert right there. If it clears that, I'm interested. If it doesn't, I'm not interested. That one's not bad, but it's got to clear that level. Otherwise, we've got to leave it alone. If I could turn back time, if I could find a way. Bros, man, that's nice. Bros. All right. Yin yang. Chung, 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 chung. Beaky. This is Beaky. Had earnings out yesterday, too. It moves actually pretty good. Beaky, do you love me? Do you want me? Not bad, not bad. Listen, turd. See, when they're gapping up into the middle of these ranges, we got to leave them alone. All right. Dun, 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 dun. All right, let's talk about the regular watch list, like non-earnings plays. We had a deep pullback in Roblox after blowout earnings. I think we're going to, kind of retest into these supports over here. As long as we hold the bottom of the breakdown bar, I think that this thing is going to be able to give us a little bit of a bounce. We had a nasty little pullback on it, but that earnings day was hot. That's really, we've got ourselves like a nice location on that. If the market holds up, TTD also, earnings out, had a nice 2-day pusher. Now we've got, some nice levels that we could trade around. We've got D-Dogs flagging out here. Put an alert at about 197. That should get this thing going. Airbnb pulled back into the 9 EMA after this big kind of earnings MPC. Now you got a 3-day pullback. 3-day pullbacks are very bullish, by the way. Anytime you get like a big trend or anything like that, a 3-day pullback is like kind of the minimum of what you need to like rebuild some juice. But then what happens is like if you start pulling back too many more days than that, it starts to ruin the charts and stuff like that. So 3 is a really, really good sweet spot. But I think this Airbnb is top of the list, you know, on some of these bouncers too. I like. And I don't think we need the rest of this. When the market gets a little bit more volatile, reduce watch list. Second part, run your liquid gainer scans around 10 a.m. because there's a bunch of stocks that'll start popping that maybe we weren't aware of. You want to start running them at 10 a.m. I know nobody's been doing it lately except a handful of people, but you'll find some random stocks that start to push every single day. But you want to kind of get your opening plays out of the way, then run your liquid gainer scan. We should be good to go. I think the faves out of these is probably SoFi. Then we've got Open. Then we've got Bros. Woo! These are some nice heaters here. Open. Man, I'm digging this Bros too. Man, we're in for some fun today. I don't think the rest of this stuff, I don't think we really need. Stay away from the Teslas and all that kind of stuff. It's been just trading too wild for the most part. I mean, you'll get lucky every blue and moon if you have a really good setup, but now like the easy bounce is over and you have this as like a big down day and you're stuck back inside the range. I mean, that's pure. That's just not something that, you know, we want to really be getting into, I don't think. Does that make sense? Yeah, we just don't need it. Cool. Yeah, Nikola looks fine. You know, a lot of these are going to look fine. Vicky, do you love me? Yeah, you can play Dash if you want. Not my particular cup of tea, but it looked fine yesterday. I goofed up the trade a little bit. Little bastard. Yeah, some of these Chinese stocks are looking good too. Vicky, do you love me? Okay. All right, let's set everything up, guys. Let's have some fun today. Just a good old-fashioned Sunday Christian pizza party with some football. Let's make some good trades. Let's do what we do, which is the do-do. Let's get this thing. Let's get our 6-window layouts going. Always pick your best 6, guys. Oh, hey, Mara looks okay, but the Bitcoin has been acting very herky-jerky. I think Mara's probably some more days of pullback would help. You know, if it breaks below yesterday's lows, I think you could probably reshort Mara. Jason, if you break below yesterday's lows, you could probably reshort it. Right. Good. That's the list.